Okay guys, well today we have a brand new soundbar here in the studio we got sent over, and this is the JBL Multi BEAM 5.0. And it's pretty interesting for the price range at which it belongs. So let's start with the IOs in the back. So it actually has two HDMI ports in the back. We have an HDMI in as well as an HDMI out, which means you can connect any kind of device directly to the soundbar. And the soundbar is going to display whatever you have on that device directly to your TV or monitor, which is pretty cool because that way if you don't have that many HDMI ports on your screen, well, that way you don't sacrifice one and you can still use it for something. But do take into account you won't be able to use high refresh rates like you find on the new generation consoles. It's not going to work properly if you connect it straight to the soundbar and then to the TV. I actually recommend you connect your consoles directly to the television. I think you can use the input in for something like an Apple TV, like maybe a Chromecast device or anything like that, which this device actually has a Chromecast built into it, which is pretty convenient. And it's also compatible with Alexa and Google Assistant, but you have to link it straightly through Wi-Fi to those assistants, which is, it's okay. I think it can be practical if you want to use something like multi-room audio. But let's continue with the inputs. You also have an Ethernet port, and you also have an optical input in case you don't have an HDMI compatible device. It also has a USB port, so pretty darn cool. It's also important that you know that this device is compatible with Dolby Audio and also Dolby Vision. The soundbar also has a remote control included in case your TV's remote doesn't work with it, but most remote controls are actually compatible if you connect them through HDMI ARC or YARC. So you most likely won't be using the remote control that's included. What you might actually use the remote control for once in a while is to actually calibrate it, because it does have a microphone on the top of the soundbar which analyzes the room you're in and actually calibrates it to give you the best audio you can get from the soundbar, as well as getting the best Dolby Atmos experience. But this soundbar actually doesn't have a couple of things. Like for example, it doesn't have a compatible application. JBL's application does not work with this soundbar, so you can only use it locally and you can only use the buttons or actually the remote control. It also doesn't have the capability of adding other speakers. You can't add a surround sound system, you can't add a subwoofer, but I'm gonna be pretty honest with you, I think it doesn't need it. So now we're gonna talk a little bit more about the sound quality. This soundbar actually has pretty good bass. Taking into account, it doesn't have an individual subwoofer. It does a great job for a medium to small room. So I think most people are going to be satisfied and aren't even going to be missing that subwoofer experience. But to each their own, leave me a comment below. Maybe you do want a subwoofer with something like this. I don't know. As for the volume, this soundbar can actually get pretty darn loud. It has 225 watts. It's not the most powerful one, but for a soundbar this size, it does a very good job as well. And the sound quality is simply crispy. Dolby Atmos experience is excellent in this soundbar. I mean, it's only digital, which means it's actually doing a digital mapping of where you're sitting and emulates 3D sound. It doesn't have physical 3D sound like what you would have in a full-blown home theater or in another system that actually has physical speakers. And what it actually does is fool you, making you think you have speakers on the rear and the sound is actually coming from above or around you. But the reason it does this is because it actually bounces the sound off the walls of your room or even the ceiling, which actually makes it feel like it's actually surround sound, and it's pretty darn good. Well, that's it for the Multi BEAM 5.0 from JBL. I hope you liked the video and you found it useful, but I would actually like to know, would you buy a Multi BEAM from JBL, or would you rather have something like maybe a Sonos Beam Gen 1 or Gen 2? I'm pretty interested in that. Leave me a comment below. And I hope you liked the video. Consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.